I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Theodore Roosevelt once said, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at best knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and at worst, if he fails, at least he fails by daring greatly." This was part of one of the most famous speeches that Theodore Roosevelt made. He presented it on April 23rd, 1910, at the Sorbonne in Paris. It was a massive gathering of diplomats and Army and Navy, French officers, and a couple thousand people. And this talk he titled it "A Citizen in the Republic." It became known as the Man in the Arena speech. Roosevelt railed against the cynic, looking down at men who were trying to make the world a better place. And he said this: "The poorest way to face life is to face it with a sneer, a cynical habit of thought and speech, a readiness to criticize work which the critic himself never tries to perform, an intellectual aloftness which will not accept contact with life's realities. All these are marks not of superiority, but of weakness." So today we begin a multi-week series based on Brene Brown's book, Rising Strong. And the whole question of this book is, how are you going to live? How do you want to live? What is it that is in your soul that wants to rise up and fully express and experience you in the most enlightened and powerful way? You know, a lot of times we spend so much energy on the results and trying to get results for things that we do instead of really looking at what it is that our soul, your soul, the way that Spirit expresses as you wants to emulate, express itself as you. Anybody in this room ever failed at anything? Yes, good for you. Because if you wouldn't ever have tried, you would never have failed, right? We can choose that low road, or we can choose the high road and actually take chances and put ourselves out there. I'm reminded, I've always admired Robert Downey Jr. He hasn't had an easy life. In fact, his father and he had a binding activity when he was young of getting high. His father actually turned him on to smoking pot, I think, at like 4 years old or something like that, right? And so Robert Downey Jr. grew up and as an adult became addicted to drugs, and it worked so badly for him that he ended up getting divorced and losing his son, and he spent 36 months in jail. And at some point he decided this wasn't the route he wanted to take. And he decided to turn his life around. So he quit doing drugs and drinking. And in the process of all that, too, people wouldn't hire him as an actor. And after he changed his attitude and his experience of life, he actually got this role, which you might remember him in Iron Man. So for me, he's a model of strength, that model of overcoming, that model of being down in the dumps and having those fearful thoughts. Ever had those fearful thoughts? Oh, I can't do this. This isn't going to work. People aren't going to like me. This is a bunch of bullshit, right? Whatever it is. I'm sorry, I do use those kind of words in church. That's it, baby. Call it like it is. So, and he was down there, and he is a model for us of what we can do, of that power that each of us, that you have within you to overcome those thoughts and to rise up to be the highest, best version of yourself. So, what is a desire that you have? What is something in your life that, and maybe it's not even fully in your life, but what is something that your presence, your spirit, your essence wants to do? Maybe it's something that you haven't done for a long time. Maybe it's changing your diet. Maybe it's getting more exercise. Maybe it's living more fully. Maybe it's loving more. Maybe it's loving yourself more. What is it that wants to experience you in the fullest way? So I'm hoping that as we talk today and in the following weeks, that you'll begin to identify what it is that wants to come through and be as you. Because you are amazing. You are powerful. You have the access to the presence of God within you that'll be there to strengthen you, to empower you, to impress upon you the truth of who you are. In Brene's book, Rising Strong, she lists 10 what she calls rules for engagement. They're not necessarily rules so much, but she calls them basic laws of emotional physics, simple, powerful truths that help us understand how we can access our courage and see it as a transformational power in our life. Do you want that? Yeah, don't we all want that? It's what our soul wants. It's what that connection with spirit desires for us. Now, I was going to present all 10 of these to you today. And the talk ended up being about 3 hours long. And I thought, a person can only pay attention as long as their rear end can sit in the same seat. So I decided not to do that, and I narrowed it down to 5. And then as I'm working with him, I narrowed it down to 4. And so what I've decided to do is offer 4 of these principles today, and then I'll offer some more next week and some more in the weeks to come as we gather and talk about this amazing book. So you can take a breath of fresh air, because what I was going to offer you is going to be pretty exhausting, and you probably would have walked out of here thinking, what were those? And anyway, you might think that anyway, but I hope not. But if you're concerned about that, I do put together a summary every Sunday of the points that I make so you can take them home. And so when your significant other or your neighbor or your aunt says, what did that dude talk about in church yesterday? You can say, oh, these things. So without further ado, without doing anything further, let's move on to the first one. That's not it. There it is. That's not it either. These are good questions, though. Keep these in mind. That's the root of it. Oh, that's the book we're talking about. I guess I fell behind on my slide presentation here, but I know you're long on forgiveness, otherwise you wouldn't be here. All right, so number 1, if we are brave enough, often enough, we will fail. And this is the physics of vulnerability. Right? Because if we don't ever try anything, we're never going to get anything. And if we try, if we're really pushing the limit of our effort, we're going to fail at something. Yippee! Isn't that great? I just can't wait to get out there and fail. But if you do fail, it says that you are trying, that you're engaged, that you're in the field and you're playing the game, right? This... when I'm writing this talk, I was reminded of the Simon and Garfunkel. I even had more trouble saying it then. I think I have more trouble now than I did then. Anybody ever have this album, The Sounds of Silence? Yes. Wow, was that an amazing album or what? I still have it. Yeah, it's in my storage bin, I know. And I was lucky enough when I was in high school, I had a great English teacher who loved this album. And so we looked at the metaphysics of the songs in this album. But the one that came to me in writing this talk was I Am a Rock. Remember that song? They sang, "Don't talk of love. Well, I've heard the word before. It's sleeping in my memory. I won't disturb the slumber of feelings that have died. If I never loved, I never would have cried. If we had never tried to love, we never would have cried." Is that true for anybody? Right? It's kind of like, we could go through our lives and never really love anyone or never be present to anyone, and then we can go, oh, man, love don't bother me, right? I never get hurt. But if we've ever loved, then we have cried as well. So failing is the physics of vulnerability. So what Brene is telling us, that if we really are playing full out, if we are rising strong, we are out there, we're putting ourselves out there fully in the game and giving it the best shot we have. Today, I enter the arena and meet every challenge with courage and power. Say that with me. Today, I enter the arena and meet every challenge with courage and with power. All right, so number 2 is once we fail in the service of being brave, we can never go back. To me, this reminds me of our principles that we study, right? Once we realize that, for me, for all of us, I imagine, that God is the essence of everything, can we ever go back to thinking that God is a man? Right? You can't. Once we've gone there, once you've experienced that expansion in consciousness, can we ever go back? Once we realize how powerful and what powerful spiritual beings we are, can we ever go back to believing that we're a victim? Might have that thought sometimes, right? But we know the truth. We know that we are powerful and that we're not victims in this world. Even if we fail at something, even if we try to be positive, right? And it's one of the big principles that we practice in New Thought is to have a positive attitude. And sometimes we might forget to do that. Ever happened to you? And it's like, oh, darn, I forgot to be positive, And how does that work for you, right? We know that what we think manifests in our life. And once we understand that, we can't really go back to the old ways of being. So once we fail in the service of being brave, we can never go back again. And that, to me, has been a real fundamental principle that has empowered me on this spiritual path. Because I know that these principles work and that they are guiding lights that help me to experience the fullness of who I am. Is that true for you? 2 of you. How about you guys out there in Facebook land? Can I hear you say amen, brother? Amen. I knew you. Okay, thank you. So every time we show up in life, our life becomes richer. Did you notice? Every time we embrace a powerful idea, it's like it raises us up, helps us to remember who we are and to experience that truth in everything that we do. Brene writes, the journey belongs to no one but you. However, no one does it alone. Last week we talked about the archetype of the hero, remember? And we talked about the hero sometimes doubts themselves. Ever notice? The hero oftentimes comes across an obstacle that is difficult, and they want to quit. Or they don't have the power. They don't have the ability. They don't have the wisdom. The third principle goes along with this idea, and Brene says, the journey belongs to no one but you. However, no one does it alone. Right? Sometimes before we sort of follow this path, we think we're doing everything alone. But once we're on this path, we realize that we have access to a higher truth, access to a more powerful wisdom. And so the archetype of the hero sometimes gets challenged, always gets challenged, don't think they have the ability to carry on, and something happens that changes their experience. I looked at the story of Cinderella. Remember Cinderella? And remember Cinderella lived a deprived childhood. She had mean stepsisters, and she really wanted to go to the what? To the ball, right? And her sisters didn't want her to go, and she didn't have the way to get there or the clothes to wear. And what happened? You guys are good. The fairy godmother shows up, right? And creates some magic, and all of a sudden Cinderella has everything that she needs. Well, the truth of it is, you know what that story means so much to us? It's not because of the fantasy of it. It's because of the reality of it. We have access to that same fairy godmother, that inspiration within ourselves. When we find ourselves in a difficult situation, we can call upon that energy, that power, that spirit to open us up and to empower us and to give us exactly what we need in every situation. Yeah. Amen? Yeah. So that this universal force is right there, just open for us all the time, saying, what do you want? What do you need? What do you desire? That desire is right here. The solution to that desire is right here. Brene says, since the beginning of time, people have found a way to rise after failing. Yet there is no well-worn path leading the way. All of us must make our own way, exploring some of the most universally shared experiences, while also navigating a solitude that makes us feel as if we are the first ones to set foot in this uncharted region. Wow. Today, I enter the arena and meet every challenge with courage and power. And I did have a nice picture. Do you remember that movie? Do you remember those pictures? Some of us are older than a couple days old. We remember the amazing and simple, by today's terms, graphics. Yeah. Okay, so the fourth one, and so you don't have to feel too burdened. This is the last one we're going to talk about today. And that is that we are wired for story. Brene writes, in a culture of scarcity and perfectionism, there's a surprisingly simple reason we want to own, we want to integrate, and to share our stories of struggle. We do this because we feel most alive when we're connecting with others and being brave in our stories. Anybody know anyone that's going through something challenging? We've got some members in our congregation that are, Kurt, his daughter, and other people that are going through amazing challenges, difficult challenges. I know when I've talked to Kurt was our musician, for some of you who is our musician, have been our primary musician in this church for 20 years, all 10 of the years that I've been here. And he is challenged with throat cancer. And he had it once before. He was in remission for 15 years. And when I talk to him, I get that sense of power from him. Right? He's got this amazing sense of optimism. And, he just knows, I've been down this road before, I'm going to get down this road again. And for me, when I heard that story, it empowered me, right? Because we get fed by listening to other stories, and when we hear them and we see them, something in us goes, wow, I can do that too, right? Do you feel that? It's like, that's the amazing power of the stories that we share and the importance of sharing our stories. We are literally wired for story. Neuroeconomist Paul Zak has found that hearing a story, a narrative with a beginning, a middle, and an end, causes our brains to release cortisol and oxytocin. These are chemicals that pick us up and embrace us and make us feel good, right? And so when these chemicals are triggered in us, it expands our ability to connect with other people and to really bond. And isn't that what life is really about? It's about relationship. It's about connecting with other people. It's about opening our hearts. So these chemicals trigger the unique human abilities to connect, to emphasize, and to have meaning together. Today, say this with me. Today, I enter the arena and meet every challenge with courage and meaning. All right, let's try and say it the same way. That was messed up for me, but I'll take the blame. Let's try it again, because I wasn't paying attention. All right, let's say it together. Today, I enter the arena and meet every challenge with courage and power. Yeah, so I'm going to test you. Actually, you're going to test yourself to see if these principles really work. Are you up for it? Okay, somebody take down everybody that just said yes, because your homework is going to, for this week, is for you to look at what significant changes can you make. What can you do this week to follow that desire that is welling up in you? It could be a huge thing. It could be changing your location or getting rid of your spouse. I don't know. Just kidding. Or it could be, just changing something, changing your diet, starting a new exercise program, doing some daily yoga, going for a daily walk, writing a book. Perfect. What are some other ideas you have? A good one. Somebody said writing a book. What else? Taking a class. Get lost. Maybe get found. But really think about what is it you can do? What are some simple steps that you can take this week to tap into that desire that's within you so that you can be the fullest expression of your spiritual self that you are? And you know what? We're all going to be able to tell next week when you walk in this room. Yeah. And so I'm going to invite you to apply the principles of engagement to yourself this week. And those are available in the back. And so you can help to remind you So next week, we're going to take this a step further, and we're going to enter into the field, the playing field. We're going to go, we came in to the Coliseum today. Next week, we're going to get on the field and we're going to play. So join us next week for that. Let's say our affirmation one more time. Together, today I enter the arena and I meet every challenge with courage and power. And I am a blessing to the world. Let's say it together. And I am a blessing to the world. I invite you to close your eyes. And bring your attention to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Softly and gently. You are a blessing to the world. What does that look like for you? To be the heart and the hands of spirit. Breathing in and out, relaxing into this moment. What is calling you forward today? What does the higher self, the presence of spirit, desire for you right now at this time in your life? And let's take just a few moments to ponder this question in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. And picture whatever it is that came to you today, or perhaps will show up tomorrow or soon. And to see yourself as a blessing to the world. A blessing to the presence of God that's expressing as you. See yourself filled with light and inspiration, with wisdom, enthusiasm, as you gracefully and powerfully experience the fullness of all that you are. Breathing in and breathing out. As you become aware of the sounds and the light in this room, I invite you to bring your awareness back to this moment, and then to open your eyes when you're ready. Well, I invite you at this time to prepare your love offerings and your donations to Unity on Maui. And thank you for doing that. And those of you watching us on Facebook Live, thank you for your gifts as well. You can go to our website, www.unityonmaui.org, and make a safe donation there, or you can mail something to Unity on Maui at 483 South High Street in Wailuku. And thank you for your gifts. And for all of us, I know that as we give to a spiritual center like this, and we are participating in the truth that's being said, both in our consciousness, and we know that your gifts, our gifts, move through this center and help us to perpetuate the good work that we do here on Maui. So thank you for your gifts. And so as we hold them together, let's pray and affirm our offering blessing, which begins: through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Namaste. So thank you, loving Spirit, for these gifts that have come to us in love. We hold them, we bless them, and we give thanks for them, knowing that they're moving through our life, through this ministry, out into the world. And we behold a world filled with love, with light, and with peace. And so it is. Thank you. So just a couple announcements today. Just dawned on me. How many people like to play ukulele? Anybody in here play ukulele? I do. Oh, you do too? Yeah. Well, we should play together sometime. What do you think? Okay. So we're going to create a ukulele play-along sometime this week. I'm thinking either Monday or Tuesday or Thursday. We can confirm that. But if you're interested, anyone here or anyone watching us out there, contact me and let me know. And we're going to meet at Surfside in Kihei on the grass and play ukulele and have a great time together. So.
All levels. Anybody just learning.
Yeah.
Anybody just learning because you know a few chords and you know lots of songs. So I can help.
Yeah. It'll be fun and light and easy and no pressure. Of course, anybody that's good might do a solo next week. You never know.
Yeah.
Like you.
We could put them in the arena.
Oh. This is really getting into the arena. And if you'd like to sign up for flowers on Sunday morning, there's a sign-up sheet at the back there, and you can tell us how you'd like to dedicate those flowers, and then we'll announce them on Sunday, and you get to take them home with you. So thank you for doing that. And also, next Sunday, my talk is titled Getting in the Game. So we're going to go from being in the Coliseum to being in the game, and we're going to take these principles a step further and add a few more and really look at what can we do to be batter up, to stand up there and to take a chance and be in the game. So that'll be next Sunday right here. And Mike Fleenor, as you know, has started a new program here at in the Spirit of Unity. He's calling it Get Found now rather than Get Lost. Nobody wanted to go hiking with him when they titled it Get Lost. So that, now it's lost and found. And now it's lost and found, yeah. So next Saturday, May 21st, there's going to be a password game night. And so contact Mike and you can pass on the word. Pass on the word. And I mentioned earlier that if you want to take some of what I talked about home with you in your mind, physically, you can grab a walkie talk in the back and it'll help you remember and apply the principles that we talked about today. And so I think that's about it. You got anything else? Okay?
Nope.
So let's all stand and take a deep breath and let's pray and affirm the prayer for protection together. And then Robin will end with a peace song. So let's say the prayer of protection together. Together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. God bless you, friends. Thank you for being here today. Have a great week and aloha!
Where I live, they're all raised.